Hey, what's going on, everybody? Back with another how-to. Today we're going to be getting into assembling and disassembling the rocker arm shaft and installing new rocker arms on a 4.0 V6 Ford Ranger engine, second gen, 93 to 97, 4.0 overhead valve. All right, so this is actually going to be inserted from my head gasket job. So I did a full head gasket build. Actually, the whole truck build is on the channel. So if you're interested in seeing the whole build, check out the channel. Got everything from, the interior, exterior, engine build, head gasket, whole nine is on the channel. But this is a part of the video of the head gasket portion of the series, and it's basically a how-to on doing the rocker arm shaft, which I thought would be helpful as its own separate video. So everything following will be the insert from the Ranger build. I'll also put the link to what this video is from in the description. So let's get into it now. So if you see here, I already did one. Like, this is, the original. I was like, they got some nicking. There is some wear. Nothing crazy, but I was like, man, I could get away with it. But I already bought all the rockers, and honestly, it wasn't as terrible as I anticipated. You could see in a couple other videos on YouTube with these 4.0 overhead valve rebuilds of people disassembling them, or giving you insight a little bit of how to disassemble them. But definitely steer you in the right direction, but nothing quite as specific as I'm going to do right now. So if you can see, this was our passenger side, and this thing is nice and flat, even, got the same tension on it as the stock one. So you got a little bit of, I don't want to say drag, but almost, I guess that's the best word for lack of better terminology. They got a little drag, I guess you could say, to them, and this is exactly the same. All right, so the key to success here is keeping this organized. Being organized, being, as organized as possible is what's going to allow you to do this successfully. So how I did it is I kept the center in place. I use that as a guide point, because I'm like, hey, if this doesn't move, I don't touch it, I don't hit it, I don't mess with it, I can get it back aligned in play off of this. So if I kept this intact where it is, I felt as though everything else would fall in line. And essentially that's what happened here. And it actually, like I said, it felt like it feels really good. And, I'm actually really happy with how this one turned out. So this is the passenger, fully reassembled. I did this one already, all new rockers on this one. So we're going to go ahead and do the driver's side now, which is this one. And how I did this is I did mark these. So if you look, I put front, driver, rear, just to keep notes for myself. This is another step in keeping organized: rear, passenger, front. So this is actually the front on this side. Okay, so this is as if we were looking at it in the engine. Holes for the push rods, passenger side, front, rear, passenger, and then this is the driver. All right, and we're going to go ahead and get into the disassembly now, and I'll show you guys my tips and the best way I found to do this, and hopefully it'll make this as easy as possible. I did this one in probably 15-20 minutes, and that was me babying my way through it. So let's get this one done. I'll show you guys how to do it, and we'll get it started now. All right, guys, another key to organization in this process is I do have a picture of the, this right here in the truck. So while I was doing it, I just got this next to me to the side, just as a picture for reference, so I didn't, get overwhelmed or felt like I was messing something up. You know what I mean? Sometimes you just need that little bit of mental reassurance to keep yourself going. So I saw somebody mention that on these end pins, you see there's like a cotter pin. I don't know what you want to refer to it as. There's this clamp that goes around it. This is what retains it. This is a retainer clamp with a little pin going through it to retain it. So I saw somebody mention a 3/32. Not it. All right, I was just going through this. Okay, so maybe you can get away with a 3/32 punch, but I was literally pushing the punch into it with the hammer with, light blows. It was going into it instead of actually knocking it down. So I have a 1/8 punch here. Okay, 1/8 punch. Now this punch is only going to work just till we get to the shaft itself. This punch does not go all the way through the shaft. It is too thick, but it's thick enough to completely cover the top of this pin, and it should get you started. Now what I have is a little screwdriver here. I wish I could give you a part number or something in reference to, you know, give you an idea of what size this is, but you're just going to have to figure that's something you're going to have to figure out on yourself. But you know, it's roughly the same size as the pin, and I utilized this to push it through after I started it with our 1/8 punch. So let's go ahead. We're going to start it with our 1/8. You want to get on it perfect. I just have the littlest hammer, light blows. You don't want to you know, go too hard. So getting it started, in my opinion, is the harder part. Once it's started, it'll start falling its way through. I got it started. I'm giving it wax, but just enough to, you know, get her to where I want it. Okay, so now if you can see, I already have this part of the retaining clamp pushed forward because I've already pushed it flush with the rod itself. So I think I can get one more blow out of this 1/8. Be careful, you don't want to damage the shaft itself, so make sure you're centered and just give it a nice light tap. So now I'm going to take it to this little screwdriver I got, this little Phillips, and I should be able to start forcing that through, and I am. Now I'm almost to the table here. If you can see the clamp, well, you probably can't, but it's about flush with our mount, so you're gonna have to put it to an end of a table. Okay, so let me see if I can maybe move you guys just the slightest there, and I'm just gonna lightly tap this through. Make sure you don't have a bunch of crap around because it's gonna go flying, and it's hard to prevent it from doing that. But I mean, you're gonna have to force it out, and forcing it out is going to make it go flying. So it almost is what it is. Not too much we can do, but I got it. I don't know if you heard it go flying, but it hit right on my foot, so I was able to keep track of where it went. So there's that. And if you look at our screwdriver, perfect fit in there. Okay, so like I said, I wish I could share what that was, but I have no part number, no reference. I don't even know where I got that thing. I've had that screwdriver for like 15 years, so yeah, I couldn't help you on that, but it's perfect for this. So maybe if you can, just go find a little Phillips screwdriver that's just a hair smaller than a 1/8 punch is really my best way to describe what this is. It's a hair smaller than a 1/8 punch. Okay, so now that we got that out, we can pull a rocker. And what I'm going to do is just go lay these to the side in order, just so I have them for reference, and it's just going to help me stay organized. Alright, now what I have also here is a magnetic tray. I'm just going to put these together for the front, and then I'll put when we do the rear, we're going to put them together as well, because we're going to be removing both sides of the clamp so we can keep this centerpiece on point, centered, not touched, for reference, to keep us in line and, you know, organized and all that good stuff. So next thing here is the mount here. So these actually are, I don't know, they're not pressed on, but they have some, you know, resistance to them. So you need a rubber mallet, okay? Do not use a metal hammer. Take a rubber mallet, just start hitting it. It should start budging a little bit. Of course, this one is not yet anyway. Once you get it moving, see there, I got it moving, it'll start coming off. Just try not to hit everything. All right, so you can see everything came off with it. So I'm going to take this, put it, you know, I'm keeping the front forward, so I'm trying to keep this in order. So I'm going to go ahead and take this, the rocker, and the spring, and put them to the side in order. So of course there's going to be another rocker here. So basically our front side is disassembled because we're not touching the center mount. Okay, so now that we got that done, we can move to the rear portion of this, and we're going to do the same thing. So I want to start off by getting that pin out, the retaining pin, 1/8 punch. Okay, move these rockers that are kind of pressed up, moving the shaft itself, so make sure you're centered. In my opinion, this is almost the hardest part, is just getting this damn pin out. Once you got that pin moved, I mean, you're damn near gold. But this is the fourth one. My last one, I gotten pretty efficient at doing it after the first three. So there's that. We got it flush with the shaft. Where is my Phillips? Here is my Phillips. Yep, to the table. So now I'm gonna move it to the edge so I can finish firing it out. Got it. Not hard. So there's that. Take my Phillips out of the way. Grab our retaining clamp. Put it to the side. And I would suggest doing these one at a time. So worst case scenario, you at least have the other side for reference. So that's why I did the one side first, completely disassembled it, completely put it back together. So I had reference as to, you know, if I needed, I can go back and look at one that was fully intact. So, you know, I still had the stock one fully assembled when I was building the other one. So it helped me, you know, stay on point. So after that comes off, we got that rocker on the end. Now, same thing with this mount. Rubber mallet. Don't go crazy. Just try to keep it on the mount itself. Of course, the rockers are going to move and try to get in your way because they don't want to come off. But you guys got to go, man. All right, so mount off. All right, so mount, rocker, spring, and we'll go put this with the other ones. And then we just have our last rocker from the center. So this is completely disassembled now. And like I said, we kept the center one on here, so it's basically our guide. It's keeping us true as to where this was originally. You know, you really want to try to be, you want to tread carefully so you don't accidentally hit it or move it or do anything like that. This is, you know, by far been the best way I found to do this. So you know, you can see some driver, still the center one, we're good to go. So now we're going to get into the reassembly. So you need some engine lube, okay? So we got some assembly lube. I got Permatex Ultra Slick. And now I got Melling rocker arms. I got Melling push rods as well. MR927 is the rocker arm part number. So there we go. That is the rocker. So what we're going to do is take a little bit of engine assembly lube. Okay, and I got that lubed up. Keep in mind, this is the driver's side. You want to stay organized. I have this oriented as if it was in the car. So this is the front, this is the rear. I have my picture here for reference if I needed it, but the inner part is the push rod hole. The outer part is what goes to the head. So we're going to start with the front here. So the first thing, of course, is we're going to go ahead, slide a rocker arm on. Okay. So we got a rocker arm on, new rocker arm. Next thing is going to be a spring, and then we're going to follow it with another rocker arm. All right, so spring. Let's grab another rocker. Another arm, put some assembly lube. Just enough, smear it in there. You don't need to go crazy. Make sure that you got them oriented correctly. It's very important because the last thing you want to do is put these on backwards and then you got to redo it. So make sure you're staying true and you know what you're looking at, and you got it oriented and organized so you don't mess up. So there we go. Now the spring isn't as compressed, obviously, because it is compressed a bit when it's, you know, fully assembled. So if you see, we just got these two rockers and it's almost to the end of the shaft. So what we got to do now is get our mount on. So when we force the mount on, it's going to start actually pushing that spring in. Okay. So got our front. As you can see, remember I marked them front. So there is the front. The part facing the intake. So the outer part is curved and this is straight. So as you can see, straight. That's how you know which way it goes. Assembly lube, get some in there, slide it on. Now what you want to do here is make sure this is not going to just start sliding on. Okay, you're going to have to hammer it back on, but what you want to do is get a flat surface. This table I'm on is pretty flat, not quite as flat as I would like it to be, but I'm going to show you in a second what we're going to do to ensure this is as flat as it can be and even for the mount point. So I have this flat, so I'm pressing this down. I want to make sure this is flat on the table, and I'm going to press it as much as I can by hand. Okay, so now that I have it like that, I essentially have it oriented in the same position as the center one, which is our original one that is true, that we did not move. I'm going to now take a hammer and I'm going to start hitting it. Okay, so let me move the camera. Alright, so just some light blows. Actually, it's a little off here. Let me make sure. Okay. Yeah, that looks good. Yep, okay. So you can see it's about even as we can get it. Alright, and I'm just going to start giving it some wax. So you might not be able to see this, but I'm just hammering it down with the rubber mallet gently. After the first 2 or 3 blows, make sure that it's not crooked and going on there uneven, because that's the last thing you want. And mine is looking pretty good. Okay, so keep it centered. Start hitting it on. Okay, so just make sure it's looking even here. It's looking pretty even. And once you start getting it going, as you see, I just gave it a whack and it pressed itself pretty much on. Okay, so I'm going to take it back to the flat test. So we got our rockers moving all over the place. That is to be expected. Don't let that mess you up. But pressing this down feels flat. Both of these feel flat, and about as good as they're going to get. So now the thing is, you're not going to be able to keep whacking this with this mallet now that it's flush, because obviously you got the shaft there, and if you hit it, it's just going to hit the shaft too. You need a 20 mil socket. So I got a 20 mil deep. You can go right over it, and then you whack this with the rubber mallet, and it should get you into position. So you might not be able to see me here. See, I move that up for you here, camera. There we go. So you want to get it nice and even. Down there nice and even. I'm going to start hitting it. Light blows. Nothing crazy. You want to pace yourself through this. You do not want to mess up and damage something. So make sure that you're staying as even as possible and not going crazy on any of this. Camera's moving all over the place. I apologize. There's not too much I can do about it, but as you can see, it's going past the lip of that shaft. All right, now here's where you want to start treading carefully, because you almost can go too, well, you can go too far and you don't want to. So if you look, that hole, see this hole? It's centered with that hole. What we're trying to do is get this hole to get lined with the hole that is the hole that it goes over. Okay, so a couple more whacks. I'm coming up on the hole, just about there, probably on it. Yep, actually I went too far. So that's honestly, it's kind of a good thing I went too far, because that way I can show you what you do. You literally barely touch it, hit it back, just like how you were taking it off. If you go too far, this one's going to fight me, but almost. There we go. Yeah, all right, that was great. That fell right into place on that last blow. You can almost hear it. See if you can see that here. See how we can see right through that? Well, you should be. There you go. So I'm going to take it back to the table, and we're going to see how true this is. And it feels flat, feels good. It looks to be in the correct position in reference to our original center mount here. So Next thing, we're going to put another rocker on. So you're going to want to grab another rocker now that that's in the correct positioning. All right, rocker, assembly lube. Got a little bit too much here, but that's all right. I'm not sweating it. Slide it on. There's our rocker. Okay. And now, this whole front is essentially done. Okay, see the F for the front, so this is our driver's side. Got these all in order. So now what I'm going to do is take our front clamp here. So you want to take your clamp, push it on. Okay. And you'll see it center itself about. And you want to grab your pin. Okay. So got the pin in there, and I'm going to start giving it some wax. Alright, it's about flush with the clamp. So now what I need to do, I went a little too far because you need to make sure that it goes through the pin on the other side. So that was my fault. I'm rushing for the video, so let me stop and slow it down here. Get that to go back through. It's kind of good though, it gives you a little bit more guidance as to what you're looking at. So now if you can see, I'm holding this, and as I'm pressing this back with my finger, I was able to hammer that home into position. Okay, and then you just want to keep hammering it till it's flush on both sides. So I got it flush with the clamp. And now look, we got the whole front of this rocker assembly completely assembled. All three rockers are on, clamp back on, pin in, spring on, everything is good to go. I got this mallet is just falling apart on me. There's pieces of rubber everywhere from it. I gotta get this out. It's like in the spring. I don't know how I managed that, but yeah, she's falling apart on me. But yeah, so you see we got a little bit of drag in these. These feel nice and good. They're lubed, good to go. So I'm just gonna go ahead, finish it out on the rear side, and then I'll show you both of them when we're done. But we're just doing the exact same thing for the rear as we did for this. So nothing is changing. Everything I showed you is the full breakdown on how you're going to do this. And I hope it helps, because like I said, there's some guidance to it on other videos and such, but I think this might be the best insight that I've, seen. So I was hoping I could deliver some good insight on how to do this. But yeah, front half is done. Let's get the rear done. All right, guys, we have both of them fully assembled. So driver's side done. Got the rear half done now, pinned up, clamped up, good. Feel the same as the OEM did and our other one did. A nice little bit of play and drag, but they feel good. Now, there's one last thing I'm going to show you can do to help ensure this is as true as possible before installation. So let's relocate here for a second, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. All right, so you want to find the flattest surface you can. For me, it wasn't that table. It's going to be the cement garage floor for me. And as you can see, I have it on a piece of cardboard for protection. So let's get your rocker arms about even. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to press down on the center one, because we know it's true. We didn't mess with it. We didn't hit it. We didn't touch it. And we just want to see if these mounts are flush on the ground. So in my case, these two are good. I just need to slightly hit this one down a hair. So you just want to hit on the side that needs to go down. And there we go. It's that easy. And you can even see, I don't know if you can see that, there's a line where it almost, I don't want to say dug into the cardboard, but made a mark on the cardboard from where I hit it. So this is laying perfectly. All our mounts are flush to this flat surface, and it's sitting perfect. So if you have trouble and you got one that's a little off, like, your center one's flat, but you got the one up here is a little off, you know what I mean? It's not flat on the ground, it's raised up. This is how you can do it. Just take a hammer, slightly hit on whatever side it is. So if it's, that side, hit it on that end. This side, hit it on this end, whatever the case may be. And that'll help you get this as flat as possible. So in my opinion, this is the truest and, best way you can get this on point, even, ready for install. And, you know, like I said, this is what I did with the other one, and I think we should be good. I actually put that one on the vehicle as well just to test, and it looked really good. So both of our rocker arm shafts and rocker arms are all installed. New rocker arms, shafts are built, everything's good to go. Now we can install these on the engine.